Hey guys on YouTube Live, this is Daniel Faust, Learn and Live's page going live, broadcasting on freedom and faith, what to invest into, times, treasures, and talents. We are live on YouTube today, so you can ask any questions. We'll be doing this about another week or so, and then we're going to go to the Mevo camera to stream in multi-locations to maximize. So we'll probably do this one day a week of a true, authentic, live chat, interact, and then the rest of the time we'll be streaming from the Mevo to maximize our time. But you can always direct message us at any time at Learn and Live on YouTube or Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, wherever you can go over and find us. So either find Daniel Faust or Learn and Live, and you go over and do that. Our group will be growing eventually, so eventually you just want to eventually message the Learn and Live page, or if you want to go over and join, we have a Leave No Marriage Behind support group, we have a Leave No Family Behind support group, talking about the processes of our book and going over and serving you guys in your marriages and your families. So, to get started, freedom and faith, what to invest into. I became a Christian in 2002 and basically got really excited, and I went over and Bible thumped people, and those first 4 to 5 years were really rough. And until I actually got a family and got a calling in my life, I just went over and threw my time everywhere, threw my treasures everywhere, threw my talent everywhere, and just sprinkled along and hoped that God would go over and bless it. But kind of like going working out in the gym, if you just go over and grab a bunch of dumbbells and just throw them over your head and you don't have proper movements, or if you're trying to throw a baseball, which I get to do tomorrow at the Southwest Little League Championship, so hopefully you guys can watch. I'm going to try to see if somebody can stream my first pitch for them. Really awesome opportunity. Just wanted to serve the kids, and then I found out it was going to be on ESPN. That's a win-win on that guard. When you go over and you just throw stuff at the wind, sometimes some things win and sometimes things lose, and sometimes things lose big time. So what do we go over and do? We became Christians and we don't know what to go over and do. We don't know how to walk through our faith, and then we have all the things of our life and things are constantly changing but kind of standing still sometimes. Where do we go over and to invest? First couple staples in life, and I know this is probably like, if you've been to church for more than 7 seconds, these are recommended, but I truly do recommend these. You got to get time with God. And how do you go over and do that? Well, you go over and you get a Bible, and you go get some time in the Word. What does that mean? Reading in His Word, figuring out where you need to go over and read. If there's certain areas in your life you want to go work through, then go to a Bible dictionary, go figure out where they reference, let's say faith or whatever. Maybe parallel that with a devotion and go read that hand in hand. Most of His instruction for our lives is in there, or goes over and connects to there. If you've ever read the 5 Love Languages book, read our book, Leave No Marriage Behind, listen to any Christian songs or content, we're always connecting to the Bible because it interconnects. So getting some time in there. If you're a newbie Christian and you have no idea what type of Bible to grab or where to go, here's some recommendations, because I used to work in a Christian bookstore. So New Living Translation or the Message is usually the best version for you guys, because of you have no structure of the Bible, and if it reads too geeky and too wordy, you might lose yourself. And usually the outgoing personality style people and the very sweet people, they like to have their hows, they like to have their who's, and they like to go over and keep things as simple as possible. The direct people kind of like to keep it simple, but they might go a little more geeky sometimes, depending. If you're an older Christian and you want to get into more in-depth, change your translation. Just because your church goes over and reads in the New King James doesn't mean you can't grow. Going reading the New American Standard Bible, going over and reading CEV, which is, I think, the Century something version. It's been a long time. Or you can go over and read the ESV, which is English Standard Version. That one's most recently written 2003, 2005 time frame. Don't quote me, but I know it was in the early 2000s. So it didn't have hashtags in there, sorry. If reading doesn't work for you and you're more of a content person, you want to go maybe towards an audio Bible. The Word of Promise is a great app. It goes over and takes 60 different 60 different voice actors and goes over and combines them in there, and the Bible becomes alive, and they do sounds and music and other things and whatnot. and you can download it on an app, and it's in an older version. I think it's in New King James, but it just, when you read it, it just comes alive, at least for me. So then you get the auditory, you get the visual, and boom, you're set and go. So from there, if that doesn't work, Bible Gateway, or go over and Google whatever resources. If you need to have more in-depth, go over and comment in there, ask questions. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If I don't get answered in here, find us at Learn and Live on Facebook. That is our main page to find us. You can still find us on YouTube and all these other places, but Learn and Live on Facebook, that's the easy way to find if you have questions. From there, once you're getting Bible time, and it doesn't matter how much, so don't beat yourself up like, oh, I need to get it in the morning at 5 in the morning, and if I don't get it on 6 days a week, I'm gonna flog myself. No, it's regular time. It's kind of like getting with time with friends. Isn't it better that you have more time with friends? Sometimes you get less, but it's always fruitful if they're friends, right? So he wants to be your friend. He loves you. He'll be there with you. And then from getting time in the Word, it's time in prayer. So you get the download from him, and then you're going upload to him to go over and with your life. Prayer, simple, conversation with God, talking to him. So the people that are more my dominant and my inspiring speakers, my mouth thinkers, prayer is going to be easy for you because you already talked to yourself and work your thoughts out. What's the difference? Just go talk to God. I mean, he's already hearing you if you're talking to him or not. More of my sweet conscientious and my sweet people and my conscientious people, it's going to be a little harder for you guys. You can still pray in the head, but sometimes it's easier to pray out loud because you're actually having a conversation with him. But again, it's your prayer life. It's your private life. I would just recommend doing it more than just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And just doing it on a routine. It should be an organic conversation, just like people want organic video. I've done this video 4 times. And it's different every time, but the concepts are still the same. All right, so from there, you got prayer and you got the Word. That's your vertical side. What about your horizontal relationships, the people that interact face-to-face? God gives us a great opportunity to go over in fellowship, and he goes over and gives us a chance to evangelize. Fellowship is just going over and hanging out with like-minded believers. And then evangelism is going over and sharing what people shared with you to go love on Jesus. It doesn't always need to be like, you need to come to Jesus, you're going to hell. Life relationships, maybe it's direct intervention, maybe it's gone over and hanging out with them and playing sports or whatever. But just when you get a chance to go love on somebody and God gives you that nudge, go over and do it. So that's in a nutshell. So these things are the staples focused in him to go over and to start having that freedom in Christ. Where it really gets nifty is that when you start going over and giving the things that God goes over and is given us, and we think it's all ours, and he gives us this thing called time, treasures, and talents. Time, we only have 86,400 seconds in a day. Everybody gets to go over and use it, good or bad. Treasures is whatever money or gifts or resources that God went over and gave you. Again, we think we earned it ourselves, but really he's going over and giving it to us. We go to be a conduit to bring in the revenue, but at the end of the day, guess what? Other people are bringing in our revenue, which God goes over and brings in the revenue. And then talents is whatever gifts, abilities that you have spiritually and practically. What I've come to find out is that if you focus on God as a whole and you get to know him in relationship, and then you start asking him the question, why did you keep me here? And start investing in what God's going on and gifted you in the talents. Really good book to read is Chazown, Chazown, and go over and read that. It will go through your past brokenness, go through your spiritual gifts, and go through one more element to go over and to give you your Chazown, your dream, your destiny, your vision. God's going over and giving this to every single person, a specific dream and vision that's in line with him to go over and to glorify his name. For us at Learn and Live is to teach the world better relationships from the bedroom to the boardroom. That's why we focus on marriage, family, faith, leadership, and communication. That's why we have a heart for the military people, because we've been going over and serving them. That's the people group he's going to have given us. But walking through that process and through that book gives you a practicality to say, where am I gifted spiritually? What am I gifted at practically? And then figure out what ministry God's gone over and given me. So now I can take those talents that God's going over and given me and shown me. And sometimes you get a big overload and figure out a ton of things in one season. And other times it's trickling down and you need somebody to walk you through the process. or a book like His Own. And then you can then start stewarding your treasures and your time. For example, if somebody goes over and wants me to invest into an automotive business, I'm going to tell them no pretty much right there and then, because God's given me on relationships. If the automotive business allows me to effectively minister, connect, and outreach to more of God's marriages, families, leaderships, and business, then I would go over and do that. If I was helping a small business to go over and thrive in the automotive industry. Outside of that, they said, hey, I want you to invest $10K to go over and for this specific part, it's going to revolutionize cars. I'm like, that's not in my gifting, my calling. I can say no. And even with the S's, that you're hard to go over and say no. Once you know your calling, you're not saying no. God's already given you the no, and you're just going over and just being the conduit to say, like, I've already prayed about it. I know about my gifting, and God's told me yes on these things. He's told me no on these, so I'm not going to go invest. Thank you. Boom. And then you start investing your treasures and your time effectively. I didn't know how to do this, and I'm still learning this, so I'm not perfect at this. So don't expect like Daniel Faust knows this all. This is just concepts, and then I'm growing in it and going over and sharing with you that I lost $52,000 early in my Christian walk because I stupidly went over and invested into just alien thing because I didn't know where God was calling me to be. If you don't know your specific calling, you don't know your kazone, follow the general principles. Get some time in the Word, in prayer, get some godly wisdom, give yourself maybe a couple days to go think about it, and if it's glorifying Him, it's edifying His kingdom, and it's about Him, then, and after a couple days, usually it might be a worthwhile investment. You'll have confirmations in other areas. If you do what I do and kind of knew my calling but didn't refine it and say, people were telling me no, and I stupidly went to myself and said, it's about me, and my business wasn't thriving, you know. Even if I have one person watching now, it's thriving for this business because I'm serving the community. So we hope this goes over and serves you, that you get to go over and to learn what's the foundations of faith, how you get an opportunity to go plug into God's kingdom, and then figuring out how God's going over and wired you so you steward your talents, your treasure, and your time well, because we only get this one life, not to live. Spoof. All right, but that's pretty much it for now. If you're going over and this is a worthwhile investment, because there's many places you can go and go. If this is a worthwhile investment, we'd like you to go see you like the post. If you're going over and think this is worthwhile to go over and to give to others, we'd like for you to go over and share this post. And if you go over and actually would love for you to see you that would subscribe this post, so then we can go over and reach more people, and then go over and reach more and more, so then we can go and do that. Our goal is hopefully by the end of 2019 that we at least have 1,000 subscribers, so then we can monetize, so then we can continue to keep this as low cost as possible to you. So that's the goal in the heart, is to go over and serve you. And this is a for-profit, so we do have other services for you guys. But at the same time, we want to go give you the max amount of benefit for the max amount of treasures that you're going to invest. All right, thanks for your time.